Hello, America. Merry Christmas. Red Friday podcast. Alan Beal here with Armed Forces Brewing Company. I hope you had a great, awesome Christmas with your family. I know I had a pretty good one. Uh, just, it's the most wonderful time of the year, you know. Uh, watched a little bit of football and did a lot of work. I'm in Texas, so it's been in the upper 70s and 80s here over Christmas. I know some of you up in the Northeast there uh, are getting snow or have had snow. So anyway, we're letting people creep on here. Ian Lake's already in there. I love that guy out in Fayetteville. Um, So man, a lot going on. A lot going on. I'm going to let some people come in and get on watching, and then I'm going to make a little announcement here. I think we already put it out there on Facebook, but I'll make a little announcement here. And we're going to go over a bunch of stuff today in the show. We're going to talk about football because, I mean, we got all these bowl games coming up. We got the playoffs coming up. And we're going to talk about college football. I don't know if we'll talk too much about pro, but college is where it's at anyway. You know, it's funny. It is funny. I don't think anybody can gauge who's going to win the Super Bowl this year. I don't think anybody can engage. But we'll talk about football here in a minute. I see some people coming on. Let's rock the preamble. Yeah, 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 yeah. We're gonna rock the preamble because that's what we want to talk about. We finally got a canning date. I'll just go ahead and announce it now. Finally got a canning date for our preamble, which is Tuesday the 30th. So our contract brewing partner is going to be canning our beer, supposedly, on Tuesday. That is the 30th. So I'm excited about that, getting that beer can. I'm sure you guys are too. It's been long enough. Moz, wow, Mozzie joined us. Moz, my man, it's been a while. Anyway, I'm watching who's popping on here. Anyway, preamble is going to be canned on Tuesday. And then we'll, a lot of people are off for this Christmas break thing, and at least, this week they were. We'll see what happens come Monday. I've got a bunch of meetings. Shellback Smitty's in the house. Shellback. Alan Beal, Merry Christmas, sir. Merry Christmas to you, bud. Maz. Anyway, so getting preamble back out is very important. I am waiting back to hear. We have a new network. It's a store, and they have licensing to ship beer to 45 states and DC. Previously, we could only ship to 32 states, uh, but this platform has obviously done their homework and can get our beer into more states. So you're going to be able to buy it online and have it shipped to your doorstep as we recourt a lot of the distributors. Um, Red Friday, yeah, and get our beer back out to market. So today, preamble, we are working with a contract brewing partner up in Pennsylvania. They've got about 5 facilities, so they can do large batches, they can do small batches. Everybody's trying to do large batches. That's where the big money's at. But there are companies that need to do smaller batches, and not only that, they've got an expertise in NA beer as well. So that's a big plus, as well as we look to getting into the NA beer space in 2026. And like I said in the last show, I've already branded our NA beer line, and it's just a matter of getting back at it. Yes, Dan Patrick, I saw your has. I'm not gonna comment and throw another company under the bus out on social media. I don't like it when people do it to me or to our company. So we have a, as I was saying, we have a contract brewing partner up in Pennsylvania. They've got 5 facilities. They specialize in beer and NA beer as well, and we're excited to partner with them. Um, and there's other parts of the country where we want to get going with contract brewing as well and open up new markets for 2026. Anyway, um, a whole bunch of stuff going on. I am to taste Preamble again is just going to be like, oh God, I can't wait to have it out in stores. And if you haven't gone to the Armory, I know there's new stuff up in the Armory. I haven't checked it all out yet. There are new T-shirts and ball caps and hoodies. A lot of Preamble stuff is out there. I saw a couple cool things. I'm gonna have to get on there and order as well. So you can get your Preamble gear, and there's a whole bunch of new hoodies on there and T-shirts and stuff as well on the Armory. It's turning into its own little deal, but we got to get that beer out. All right. So let's talk about some football stuff here because I want to go through this. Um, you know, hats off to Navy winning that game by 1 point. I think I predicted like 31 or 34 to 24 or something like that, and that did not happen. That did not happen. That was a great game. God, that was a great game. That was a great game. I should have recorded that on the TV. I don't know why I didn't. I would have liked that is one game I'd like to see again. So we'll see about doing a rerun on that one, or if somebody recorded it, let me know. Should have done it. All right. So Navy's off to a bowl game. There's a bunch of bowl games going on, and I think we had the first round of the ridiculousness of the playoffs, which ended up just as we predicted last week. Um, yeah, it was. This is all getting kind of silly. The college football playoffs here. Um, I mean, I think we all knew that. Is it James Madison and Tulane? Yeah, I don't. I think we all knew they weren't going to move forward there, but but Alabama beat Oklahoma and Miami barely beat Texas A&M. I was never impressed with Texas A&M, especially after I saw the Missouri game. Ole Miss just beating the pants off Tulane, and Oregon 51-34 over James Madison. I think we all knew that was going to happen. So, upcoming games. And you guys jump in the comments here and put your predictions in there too. I know we have some Miami fans in the house, but I got some bad news for you, Miami fans. You're playing Ohio State. And you just didn't look that great last week. 10-3. I guess you played Texas A&M, but yeah. Anyway, you're gonna have a hard time with Ohio State. I'm gonna take Ohio State over Miami, Florida, Texas Tech, and Oregon. Well, I'm gonna take Texas Tech on this one. I don't know. That you never know. I think Texas Tech is going to win that one, though. All right, Alabama and Indiana. I think most of you are going to take Indiana here. If there was, well, let me go to the other game. Ole Miss and Georgia. They've already played. Georgia beat Ole Miss. And you got Indiana playing Alabama. All right. So I think Indiana's going to beat Alabama, but if there is going to be an upset in those games right there, Miami, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas Tech. I don't know if that's really an upset. Texas Tech is ranked 4th, Oregon's 5th. Alabama's 9th, and Indiana's number 1. Then you got Ole Miss and Georgia. If there's going to be an upset in there, I say Alabama could beat Indiana. Maybe. It depends which Alabama team shows up on January 1st. Which team is going to show up? Which Alabama team? Could happen. And then, depends what team is going to show up. Indiana could just roll right over Alabama. The Georgia Ole Miss game, I think that could be a close one. I think Georgia's going to win that one. Anyway, and then you go on to the bowl games here. Navy plays Cincinnati. Excuse me. Navy plays Cincinnati on January 2nd. And I think they're going to win that game. Wake Forest in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Wake Forest plays Mississippi State. Like, who cares? I don't know. Shellback, are you a Wake Forest fan since you're in Carolina? Wake Forest and Mississippi State, Arizona and MSU. Who knows? It's. I guess this has been going on for years now, but like who is it? Rice and Texas State are in a bowl. They're in the Armed Forces Bowl, and I think they're both like 5-7 or something like that. Anyway, Duke. Who does Duke play? Duke plays. Let's go back to these bowl games here. Right now, you got Minnesota and New Mexico playing in the Rate Bowl. First Responder Bowl, Florida International University takes on UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio. Pittsburgh and East Carolina. Interesting. The Pirates and the Panthers. Penn State and Clemson. That's an interesting game. Army and UConn. If Army plays like they did against Navy, they're going to win that game. I think they will anyway. BYU and Georgia Tech. Now, that's an interesting game as well. BYU's rated 12th. Georgia Tech is 22. But I'll tell you what, that Georgia Tech team, it depends what team shows up. They've been a toughie all year for a lot of teams. That could be an upset. All right. Virginia and Missouri. Yeah, there's other than the playoffs, there's not a lot of big bowl games coming up. LSU and Houston. Iowa and Vanderbilt. That would be probably one to watch. Iowa and Vanderbilt. I think that game could go either way. I know Vanderbilt is strong. They're ranked 14th, but you never know. Duke and Arizona State. And then you got Texas and Michigan. I'm going to take Texas for that game. Michigan is in disarray. And I'm going to take Texas for that one. Nebraska and Utah. You know me, I'm a Husker fan. Big time. Born and raised. But I don't think the Huskers are going to be able to beat the Utes. The Utes are ranked 15th. Rice and Texas State. Here you get into those 5 and 7 teams, and it's kind of like, okay. All right. I think we're gonna go down to Indiana and Ohio State playing again. Although you could maybe throw Georgia in there. But I think it's going to be Ohio State and Indiana. Anyway. All right. So a little bit of the Beer Bowl. Man. The Beer Bowl. Why don't we have a Beer Bowl? Why has nobody done a Beer Bowl? We've got a bowl for every other frickin' thing except for beer. Why isn't there a Beer Bowl? Why hasn't Budweiser coughed up a bunch of money and done a Bud Bowl, or an actual Bud Bowl? Why hasn't Miller? We need a Bud Bowl. I think that would be cool. But nobody's done it. So I think next year we'll do our own Bud Bowl. Now we're not, internally in the company, we'll do a Bud Bowl or a beer bowl, Bud Bowl. And we'll see. Yeah, Armed Forces Brewing Beer Bowl. There you go. There you go. So one of the first things I did when I got here, a friend of mine reached out to me. He's been a friend for about 3 years now here in Fort Worth. And he is actually the executive director of the Armed Forces Bowl. Loves Armed Forces Brewing Company, loves our brand, has wanted to get us into the sponsoring the Armed Forces Bowl. Obviously we're not in a position to do that, but I think down the road that would be good. I believe last year was it Oklahoma and Army played? Oklahoma and Navy played. What? No, hold on a minute. Last year's Armed Forces Bowl, it was Oklahoma and somebody. I'll have to go look. Armed Forces Bowl 2024. So, I mean, they had a sold out crowd, I think, there. Yeah, it was Navy in Oklahoma. Yeah, they had, I think they sold the stadium out, if I remember right. Of course, Oklahoma this is really close. So a lot of, Boomer Sooners, they travel all over the place to go see the Sooners play. But that was a great game. Navy ended up beating Oklahoma 21-20, and they've been wanting our beer and Armed Forces Beer Company having a presence at the Armed Forces Bowl for a long time, for many years. So anyway, one of the first things I did when I got here is my buddy reached out to me and wanted to have lunch and talk about January 2nd, and the timing was off, and so we'll look forward to 2026 and checking that out. Does AFBC have plans to sell its products in AAFES, NEX, and MCX stores? Yes, we already have. We need to resupply them, Mr. Patrick. Thank you. We do. Matter of fact, NEX was shipping our beer over to Bahrain, Sicily, and somewhere in Italy. Where was it? Can't remember. Over to Spain as well. Spain, Italy, and Sicily, and Bahrain. So yeah, we're gonna ping those relationships and get those back on running with the military exchange stores. Anyway, good stuff. Preamble coming out. If you just joined us, welcome to the Red Friday podcast. I'll make the announcement again. Preamble is going to be canned on Tuesday. And we're excited about that. We are excited about that. The preamble's coming.
Let's fucking go. Charge.
Yeah, it'll be fun to get it back out to market and get it going again. I miss Preamble. Okay, I miss all of our beers. Anyway. All right, you got any questions? Go ahead, put them in chat. Be happy to answer whatever I can here as we move along on the show. We are out on LinkedIn, X, and Facebook. If you just joined us, welcome to the Red Friday podcast. So, many of you know we no longer are in Norfolk. We've closed that operation up, and we left Norfolk. We are temporarily in Texas right now, looking for a permanent home, which we're looking in either Texas or Florida right now. We've got a lot of irons in the fire. We've got some debt to get paid off. We are bringing the company back to life. And at the same time, there's a lot of legalese stuff going on behind the scenes. And it's good stuff. Good for us. And I happened to get in a conversation with a friend of mine. Bottle. What? Well, hold on a minute. We're going a different direction. Okay. What was the decision on bottling our product? Bottling. Bottling is expensive right now. I think. Getting a bottle out to market is in the near future, though. So we'll talk about that at another time. Getting a beer in a bottle. I wonder how Preamble would taste in a bottle. We'll have to check that out. Let's see. What happened to the brewing and canning equipment in Norfolk? Well, it's there, and we're trying to sell that facility. So there's the answer to your question there. Yeah, Shellback, you got it. All right. Anyway, so I've been talking with law enforcement folks and other people. I at one time in my life, this is way before Armed Forces Brewing Company. First of all, I've been at this for 10 years. There's no way we're just going to fold up and go off into the night. We never quit here at Armed Forces Brewing Company. We're not going to. We have a great product. We have great people involved in this company, and we do a lot of veteran outreach and have done a lot of veteran outreach. And our mission, hearts and missions, are in the right place, and we've got a great product that needs to get out all over the globe. And there's a lot of people that agree with that, and we're going to keep rolling. So let's kick it into another topic of conversation here. I had been talking to some law enforcement buddies, and it just happened to come up that before I did all this stuff in the beer industry, and I had worked for a private investigation firm in Omaha, Nebraska. It was a Marine that was this private investigator and had this firm there. And he actually served with one of my uncles in the Marines. So, and they knew each other and served together. And he kind of took a shine into me. He wanted to train me in the industry, in the business, private investigation business. And so I went to work for his firm as a project manager, and I did investigative work as well. Believe me, I have stories. But when I first got there and came to work, my mission was to go into all of these crates of boxes and start going through the cases that they had. Now, this private investigator, his name was Dennis Whalen, and he was kind of a well-known PI. He had been arrested in Denver, Colorado. This was like in the 70s, I think. He had been arrested in Denver, Colorado, because his firm, his PI firm, had been hired by some parents whose daughter went into a religious cult called the Moonies. Back then they were called, in Denver. And he ended up being hired by the parents, and they kidnapped her back out of the Moonies, because they take them to these safe houses in Nebraska for deprogramming. Some of you, if you're as old as I am, in the 70s, remember a movie that Christy and Jimmy McNichol did about being in a religious. Jimmy McNichol was in a religious cult, and they went through the deprogramming and all that kind of stuff. I remember that movie. Little did I know down the road I was going to be involved in it. But So he had been acquitted of this in Colorado and all that kind of stuff, and it made national news and all that kind of stuff. But the other thing he was known for is working on a lot of other cases, and some of these cases were before I got there, but they were still not completed. So one of the cases I would go there, I would get these crates of all these cases, and I would start going like another pair of eyes, a fresh set of eyes, going through folders and crates of boxes and reviewing all these cases to ramp up, but also to see if I saw anything that they missed as PIs. If the cops couldn't solve murders, they came to this private investigation firm. They were that well known. We even did a couple cases that were on unsolved mysteries. I remember one in particular. And we worked with the Innocence Project with DNA testing for the wrongfully convicted on a couple cases. Um, we did a major, actually two major cases that I'll tell you about here in a second, but uh, it was an interesting time to dive into these cases. Anyway, I would sort these out, and if I spotted anything that they missed, we would have a meeting and go through these cases. Anyway, one of the cases that I worked on uh, was the Johnny Gosh case. Do you remember that? Johnny Gosh. He was the first kid whose face was ever put on a milk carton. He was a kid that lived in, I think, Sioux City, Iowa, and disappeared. Simply disappeared doing his paper route early in the morning. And this made, oh my God, there's documentaries out there of Johnny Gosh. You can go Google Johnny Gosh. Uh, that's when we started putting kids' faces on milk cartons, and I believe years later there was another kid that was kidnapped or missing in this from the same neighborhood or from the same city. It's been a while since I worked on this case. Anyway, so and this was way down the road. This was like 93, 92, 93, 94 when I was at this PI firm working on these cases. So they had Johnny Gosh, that was a 1980, 82 case, something like that. So it had been many years, but it's an unsolved case. And these cases that I started getting into really opened my eyes to the evil in this world, especially child sex trafficking and all that kind of stuff, because that's basically what happened to Johnny Gosh. He was kidnapped, and there was a child sex trafficking ring. And in Omaha, Nebraska, you have a place called Boys Town. I bet most everybody's heard of Boys Town. There were children being used for sex parties by the elite people of Omaha, Nebraska. This was a case, the Franklin Credit Union case in Omaha, Nebraska, and some very wealthy people were involved in this group that was having parties at places and taking little boys and girls, checking them out of Boys Town and taking them as sex slaves for these parties. I think some prominent people went to jail on this. But anyway, I got that case and started sorting through it, and there were a couple people that hadn't been indicted yet that were involved in this, and my firm wanted me to go under because I wasn't known in Omaha, and they wanted me to go undercover and do some more intel gathering and get these people that hadn't been indicted yet, and that never happened. By the way, that was the plan, was for me to go undercover. There was that. The Franklin Credit Union. I think you can Google that too. Trying to think some other cases that we did on the PI side. Um, I had, geez, I had a 16-hour stakeout one time. I sat in my car up on a hill in a church parking lot overlooking a neighborhood, a street. And 16 hours I sat in that car with my walkie-talkie, and we were in drug hood. I mean guns, drug hood, gangs, all that kind of stuff in Omaha, Nebraska. And what happens is these drug guys, they meet these girls that come into Omaha from rural areas, farms, and all that kind of stuff, and they smooth talk them and recruit them. They meet them at the mall, and before you know it, these girls run away from home, and they get acclimated to the gang, if you know what I mean. And gang members are having these houses along this street. This is a particular case we worked on. Two little girls had disappeared, run away from home. Their parents hired us to go find the two girls because the cops would not do anything. So through some clues, we found one of them. One of these gang members that the girls were with was he did have a job. He was a cook at a Perkins restaurant, and I had to ID him, so I went in and ate a meal there at Perkins and raved about how great the food was. Oh, can I meet the chef? Can I meet the cook? And the waitress was like, sure, wow. I said, hey, let me tip the cook. So the cook walks out, and there he was. Hey, thanks so much. Great food. Oh, yeah. So I ID'd him, and we followed him and found out where his house was, and they had a line of houses. Well, it just so happens they get these young girls hooked on crack and coke and heroin and all these drugs, and I'll tell you what, they start passing them around. And we had a pickup van and a blocking car down the street from this neighborhood, and I was at the lookout point in this church parking lot looking at this row of houses on his street, so I could see, and I would give the visual cue to go. And we were waiting for the girls to come outside or somebody to come outside, the guy, any of the gang members or anything. And finally, one afternoon after being there, the girls come walking out, and they're walking to another house, 2 houses down. And I gave the go-ahead. And I'll tell you what, they immediately, right when they got halfway between one house and on the sidewalk and another driveway, the van pulled up, and I pulled down from the hill, and the block car got there, and the other investigators from my team got out and got the girls into the van, and we just stood there. And I can't remember why we just stood there and didn't take off. Because I literally had 2 handguns on me. I had a switchblade on me and a pair of brass knuckles, because we were literally in the hood. And, people are walking around, and you never know who's going to come up and tap on your car or anything like that. You never know what's going to happen, who's going to pull a gun out on you. Anyway, so long story short, we talked to the girls for a minute, and this gang member came out and saw us, and then he ran back inside, and we thought, oh, he's going to get guns and stuff, so we got to go. Got the girls in the van, and that was that. We rescued these girls. So we did a lot of stuff like that. We worked on a case with Barry Scheck and the Innocence Project on DNA testing for a guy that was wrongfully convicted, and we got him out of prison. And I remember being on a con call with Hurricane Carter. I don't know if you're as old as me, you're going to know who that is, the boxer that I believe was convicted at one time of murder or something. He was finally acquitted, I think, but he was in Canada, out of the U.S. Kind because he was involved with the Innocence Project and all that good kind of stuff. So that was a lot of cool stuff. You met a lot of people and a lot of different people and did a lot of different cases and really it really opened your eyes. Yeah, without a doubt. I'm looking at your comments here. So there was that. And another thing I was going to throw in, this has nothing to do with being a private investigator because I wasn't at this time, but I had lived in Kansas City at one time and actually met a serial killer there in Kansas City. A guy named Bob Berdella. Google Bob Berdella, the butcher of Kansas City. This guy was one sick, you know what, POS. He was sick, but he had this. There was this outdoor market down in Kansas City in the west. I think it was the Westport area, and I was dating some girl, and she was kind of hippie and liked to go to these markets and buy stuff. But we went to a market one afternoon, and went to this stand, and it was called Bob's Bazaar. And it was owned by this Bob Berdella, just a creepy looking guy anyway. And I think she even bought some scarf from him that day. And he turned out to be this serial killer. And this was 89, I think, or 90, 89. I mean, it was right before he got busted. Might have been even 88. But I didn't know about him until 95 or something like that. I didn't know he was a serial killer. But when that came out, I was like, oh my God, I've met that guy. Bob Berdella. Check him out. You're going to cringe on that one. Fire and rescue is no different. I got a comment here from Shellback Smitty. Yeah, no kidding. You guys see some really just eye-opening stuff and evil stuff too, I'm sure. First responders. It's why I have so much respect for law enforcement, first responders, and our military members who are in the shit, those combat vets and what they see. I could never imagine that. I could never imagine that. So anyway. So that was an interesting time back then. I got into a little PI stuff, and like I said, we did a couple cases that were shown on Unsolved Mysteries. Our executive secretary at this firm, her niece, a girl named Christy Jo Nickel, was murdered. She lived in Gothenburg, Nebraska. Joanne Kniss was our executive. She was an investigator as well, but she ran the firm. Her niece had been murdered. Was missing, but we know she'd been murdered by the husband. And that case out in rural Nebraska in Gothenburg like that, there's all these little ponds, and they're owned by the EPA. Federal government. And this husband, the cops couldn't solve it. Christy Jo's suitcase was found out in a field and never heard from again. A couple weeks later, the husband paved their driveway. There were about 3 of those big plastic barrels, big industrial barrels out in the back. I believe one came missing, and I believe Dennis Whalen, our lead investigator, got in and found blood on the floor after taking up the carpet in the bedroom after the house had been vacated. But anyway, they never found her. The husband moved himself and the kids, I think, to Arkansas or something like that, and escaped prosecution. They could never get him. But we had a lead that one of those barrels that he owned had her body in it, and he had put it in one of those ponds around there. around Gothenburg, and we could never get anyone to. Couldn't get the police to go after it, and couldn't get the EPA to let us with a independent diving team to go in there. God knows what they have in all those barrels in those ponds out in rural Nebraska. So that was a case we could never solve and get a body from. So it was interesting stuff. And I'm telling you all this because we're gonna in January, as we get the Red Friday podcast, this is just buffer stuff to get it up and going. We're going to bring in a lot of guests and experts. We're going to talk about child sex trafficking. We're going to talk about ghosts and UAPs, and we're going to talk about sports, and we're going to talk about veterans issues and how we can help advocate for veterans and all this other stuff. And get into some really cool guests that are going to come on the show. I've been saying that for 3 weeks, but come January, start of a new year, 2026, we're going to get into some great subjects that we can drink beer to. And it looks like we're going to have beer out for January of 2026. So I'm excited about that, finally. So anyway, it was fun. It was interesting. Met a lot of interesting people back then. Being a PI and man, oh man, it's interesting cases. All right, you got a comment or a question in there? Go ahead, shoot. Give me some football predictions, if you will, even. So what's next? What's going on next? Well, if you just joined us, welcome to the Red Friday podcast. Preamble is coming out. Preamble's going to be canned on Tuesday. So like I've been telling you, we're excited about that and getting Preamble back out to market. As soon as we get that beer canned, we'll be able to figure out exactly where that beer is going to go, so you can order it or you can go pick it up at a store. I'm working on that, but we are going to be pivoting contract brewing to Pennsylvania and Florida, and there will be a focus on flooding Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, getting it back over to Ohio and on down. And then Florida and getting Texas open as well. So that's some good goals for 2026. And as I mentioned to you, we'll have a new online platform that we're working on where you can go and buy our beer. It ships to 45 states and Washington, D.C. Previously, we could only ship to 32. So there's some good things going on there. Let's get that beer up and rolling. I know Grunt's going to be the next one that we drop. Grunt was really doing well in sales. It was just moving right up the ladder in sales. Who doesn't like a double IPA with a 9.5 ABV? In a 19.2 ounce can too. So Grunt's going to be coming out next. And like I said, we'll work on the Cat Shot and special hops as well. So, getting beer back out is big number one priority. Okay. Super excited. Preamble. God, I'm literally having dreams about drinking Preamble. I'm not kidding either. 2 nights ago, I was dreaming I was mowing the lawn. And I stopped mowing the lawn. I was all hot and I wanted a Preamble. And in my dream, I had one can left and it was cold. And I popped it and I'm getting to drink it. And then I woke up. Ugh. Anyway, I hope Death from Above makes a comeback as well. Death from Above is going to make a comeback. It is on the list. I talked about that in length on the last show. Death from Above Coffee Porter. People love that beer. Holy crap. They love that beer. It's a coffee porter, and it's just absolutely delicious. And I gotta tell you, we have people requesting that, wanting that beer year round. You know, usually when you do a dark beer, you're doing it seasonal, you're doing it during that fall and winter time. But I'll tell you what, this beer, everybody wants it year round, even during the hot days. Uh, so yeah, Death from Above, definitely on the list to get back to market. So Death from Above, coffee porter. So we got a bunch of other beers we want to do, and the NA beer, I talked about that as well. It's a big reason why we're going to head up to Pennsylvania too. This brewing partner that we're going to be working with, has, they do. We know for a fact that they brew good NA beer. They are very knowledgeable on that. Um, and we definitely for 2026 want to get into the non-alcoholic beverage space. It's a booming space, growing. The beer business, the beer industry is about 6% down for 2025. Um, you're seeing a lot of smaller breweries up for sale and things like that. We think we can get back out there and get our piece of the pie with Armed Forces Brewing Company, because we have such a great product and a great mission and great people and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, that's where we're going with it. We think we have a demand. We have a national demand for our beer, on so many levels. Um, Anyway, 2026. Hopefully, I think this is going to be a good year if everything goes right. We're going to see. There are certainly going to be some things happening that I think are going to be newsworthy and catapult our company back into the spotlight around the country. Um, those people in Norfolk, Virginia, fucked up, and their day is coming. Their day of reckoning is coming. And obviously, I can't say a lot about that, but the company is our shareholders are going to have some insight into that coming pretty soon here. Things are set in motion, and about actually one thing is set. Two things are actually set in motion right now and are percolating right now. Anyway, best NA beer right now is the Heineken. That's about it. You know what? That comment comes from Dennis Minogue. He's up in New York. And Dennis, you know what? You're right. Um, we were working on NA beer. We had dealcoholized a couple of our beers, about four of them. We had four of them dealcoholized. Took the alcohol out of the beer and did a taste test. I remember we went out and bought, I think, 9 of the leading NA brands: Heineken, Bud Zero, some Athletics products, and some other ones. I think we had Corona maybe, and some other ones. It was 9, I think, and yeah, Heineken was the best out of all of them. It was the best. But I'll tell you what, there was a beer that was dealcoholized down to almost, I think it was almost zero or zero beer. And that it might have been like 0.3% or something like that. Um, was Cat Shot. Cat Shot was better than the Heineken Zero. And it was dealcoholized. I mean, it was delicious. I mean, really delicious. And the preamble was second. It was really good. But yeah, that Heineken's a really good one. What are some other? I've been told that the Athletic Stout is pretty good. Don't know if that's true. Haven't tried it, but that's what I've been told. So if you're an NA beer connoisseur, let me know what you like there. But we've got obviously we'll release one lager. But we've got 4 SKUs that we've branded, and that's 2 lagers, an IPA, and a stout that we want to get out to market as soon as possible in 2026, non-alcoholic brands. So super excited about that. That way, everyone can have a beer with us. Because there's veterans, law enforcement officers, there's people out there with PTSD that probably shouldn't be drinking alcohol. Maybe veterans on medication. People are on medications and they can't drink alcohol because of their meds. Now they can have a beer with us. That would be great. That would be great. All right, questions, comments, put them in the chat. I'm watching. Let's go. Let me go back here and see if I missed anybody's question. Let's see here. Love you guys. Hey, Gordon's in the house. Gordon with the Tank Farm, Americans in Wartime Museum's Tank Farm experience in Nokesville, Virginia, where we had our first rally point. Gordon is such a great guy. All those guys, Adam, Mark, Dennis, they're all incredible Americans. And Gordon, they do such a great job at there. If you're in Virginia, if you're in one of those states there, even if you should travel to Nokesville, Virginia, and go to the tank farm there. It's called the Americans in Wartime Experience. You can find them online. They've got, I don't know how many tanks and vehicles out there, a ton of them. They refurb them. They're drivable. I mean, they do shows out there. They have reenactments out there. Oh my God, I remember being out there and they had a World War II reenactment going on, flamethrowers. One area is where the Russians camped out, Germans, Americans, British. It was impressive. All these tanks. They have a World War I tank. Authentic stuff. World War II tanks. They've got NATO stuff out there, vehicles. And I mean, you walk in there, it's like you're walking into a theater of war there, and that is just an impressive place. You can ride on the tanks and all sorts of stuff. You got to take your kids there, and I'll tell you what. Gordon, let's have a show. Let's do a show with the Americans in Wartime Experience guys. I'll call Dennis and call Mark and you, and let's get you guys on for the show. We need to do that. They're building a active exploration center or museum in Virginia, Northern Virginia. It's Americans in Wartime Experience, and from what I've been told, they have all these different areas outdoors. Like one area is the trenches, the World War I trenches. Next area might be the Vietnam jungle. The next area might be Battle of the Bulge, World War II. Blah blah blah, whatever. And I think you're going to be able to put on virtual goggles or something like that, a virtual reality type deal, and see the battles going on and hear the. I'm just like, wow. I hope to be there for the grand opening on that one. But Americans in Wartime Experience over in Northern Virginia, we're going to do a show. We're definitely going to do a show. And we've partnered with these guys, with this group on the Army-Navy games throughout the years. Matter of fact, gosh, this might be the first year we haven't. I think it is, that we haven't in the last four. They have a mobile trailer as well, and they go around the country and they interview veterans. it's like a mobile recording studio. They bring you in the trailer and they sit you down and you do an interview. They want to hear you. They want to record you telling stories about your service. And these stories, they're collecting all of these. I don't know how many stories they've got into the thousands, I think. Um, but these will go up in the museum in Northern Virginia. And I would assume once they get one rolling, they're gonna get some other ones. Um, okay, I'm going through these comments here. Here we go. Dan Patrick, speaking of space, how about a black IPA or something similar to represent U.S. Space Force? Well, Dan, we did have a black IPA. It's called Black Hops, a follow up to Special Hops, and actually it's an award winning recipe for Black Hops IPA. I think we're going to be having some Space Force beers in 2026, maybe at least one, especially because we're going to do a show on UAPs, UFOs, and aliens and all that good kind of stuff, and have some pretty exciting guests on for that show, and talk about a beer that I think the Space Force is going to come into its own here, hopefully in 2026. You never know. We're going to do a whole show on that. Matter of fact, I think I had been working on some new beers, names and branding and stuff, and the Space Force came up. You never know. We might do a Guardian beer. Not, I'm not sure what that means. All right. Coast, no, getting branches into the Coastie. Yeah, Coastie was a good beer. We had a Coastie. Yeah, Smitty, you were at the Tank Farm, you know. All right. Rally Point, Dennis Pinot was there. Yeah, the Tank Farm is awesome. See, look at the comments on Facebook about this. I'm telling you, that Tank Farm's a special place. Just the tanks there. Galactic Golden Ale. Cool. Merry Christmas to you. So anyway, we're gonna get into beers for all the branches. We were a little timid on the Marine Corps beers. Um, I'll tell you what. I'll save that story for next podcast. I will. Our relationship with the Marine Corps was kind of a struggle on the struggle bus there, uh, and yeah, it was. I don't know how it is right now, but the Marine Corps, they have everything trademarked. They hold their IP very close. They do not let you trample on that stuff, and I think I'll tell you more about it next podcast. But I was on online. I do a lot of planning for 2026, and an Instagram video came by through I was scrolling, and it was from the Marine Corps ball, and there were a bunch of Marines going, yet, 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 all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I've heard that before. I know what that is. So I started going, I got to name a beer that. So I started looking online, and Yut, Y-U-T, is trademarked by the Marine Corps. So I was like, shit, can't do that. They've got a trademark for shirts and I think sodas. They don't have a trademark for beer, but I think what I'm going to do is probably send the trademark and copyright office of the U.S. Marine Corps a nice request letter asking them if we could get permission to use Yut on a beer. It's not trademarked for beer, but it is trademarked for sodas. I think that would be hilarious. Yeah, yeah. Wiener red crayon cider. uh, they are the badasses of the military for sure. So all you Marines out there, I love you. We had two in our family, and I have a lot of Marine Corps friends, a lot. Um, yeah. Anyway, I'm reading more of these comments here. Jeff Perkins in the house. Hey Jeff, every person I've met at the Armed Forces Marine Company shindigs have been awesome. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I know who you are. Percolator. I know who you are. You're one of my Instagram buddies. You got good content there, but man. Dave Knobloch. If we're nice to the Marines, maybe they will be nice to us. Absolutely. We did have a Devil Dog beer. It was just on a tap handle there, so they don't mind that. It's when you start labeling something and get it out into public consumption that they get irritated. Um, I think we did. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to tell that story next podcast. But Devil Dog, yes, we did have a Devil Dog Marzen. That was actually a really good beer too. That was a great beer. So anyway, lots of things to do for Armed Forces Brewing Company. The resurrection, we took a big hit in Norfolk, and we're moving on from that. Uh, we've got a bunch of things going on. We've got a development in Florida that has been trying to recruit us for three or 4 years now to open up a taproom foodery, and they got a hold of me after they learned we closed Norfolk, and they really want an Armed Forces Brewing Company taproom foodery. So we're talking with them and working on that deal, trying to make that happen. But that would just be a great place. It's a development in Florida, and it's a booming development. And it's a good starter location to get us proof of concept. We've got everything ready for that thing, from the schematics of the 3-barrel brewing system and the warm vanilla shell, the food menu. We've got everything nailed down on that. So that could be something that's coming up in 2026. I know they want to release the units or the warm vanilla shells. They're going to be supplying their tenants by summertime. So I will keep you all updated on that as it goes. Hit but not sunk. That's right. That's right. But you're going to hear a lot about that coming up in 2026 as well, because there's a lot of legalese going on behind the scenes. We're going after these people. We're going after them. So anyway, all right. Last comments, final thoughts. Go ahead, shoot, put them in chat there. I'm going to give you mine here real quick. I have kind of stopped watching social media. I'm out there posting on my stuff and everything, but man, there's a lot of infighting going on in the military community, and I wish everybody would quit. We should be lifting up veteran businesses and helping them succeed. Veterans should not be fighting veterans out on social media, on podcasts, and all the other kind of shit. It's not just veterans. It's a lot of political stuff, and I'm just like, I don't even want to deal with it anymore. It's really getting toxic out there. So, anyway, lift a veteran up. We're the once we get the foundation back up and running and solid, we're going to be focusing on veterans in business as well for that. And I'll just be divulging all sorts of stuff to you guys here in the coming months. Regarding Armed Forces Brewing Company and the AFBC Veterans Foundation. We got a new executive director for that's coming in. And he is something else. He's a force. It's a lot of things. Final thoughts. Thanks, Jeff Perkins. No, we won't let it break the winning spirit. We're going to win. We're going to get through this and, bounce back. All right, you guys. I will keep watching social media. Preamble is going to be canned on Tuesday. That's what they've told us. And I will keep everyone updated on when and where you can get that beer. I'm excited. Ooh, Preamble. And like I said, go to www.thearmory1776.com. There is new merch up there. There's new glassware, mugs, stickers, koozies, t-shirts, hoodies. All your Preamble gear is there. All your Red Friday gear is there as well. And, of course, all the beers you love. We've got shirts and hoodies for just about every beer and then some up there. So check it all out. www.thearmory1776.com. Alan Beal, Armed Forces Brewing Company. You guys are awesome. You're awesome. Merry Christmas to everybody. And we will see you next Friday for the Red Friday podcast.
Yo, if one more guy asks me, are we there yet? I'm shooting a hole in the motherfucking boat.